Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Adams Mystery Playhouse Podcast. Adams Mystery Playhouse is Colorado's only full-time mystery dinner theater. I am your co-host, Nick Wida, and with me today, my partner in crime, Marn Wills Cuellar. And how are you today, Marn?
Good. Sorry, but I was I was just scrolling through Facebook. I'm trying to figure out how to lose 15 pounds in 2 days because I've got the quarantine 15 going on.
Anyway, Marn, do we have any guests joining us today?
Yes, we do. Today, joining us is Alex Crawford. How you doing today, Alex?
I'm doing pretty well. There's a fight has broken out is between me, myself. Hold on, guys, settle down. I had to keep them apart, but I think we have the fight under control now. No one was hurt.
Wait a second, Alex. Who was fighting?
Me, myself, and I.
Oh.
I woke up this morning and myself they were arguing in the hallway, and I went out there and tried to break it up, and a melee broke out.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's happened before. It's happened before. We had another personality in here, but we made them move out.
I just can't believe there was a melee.
There was a melee. This is May, and I got laid out down the stairs.
Oh, but I'm glad you survived the melee, because I don't know what I'd do without you.
Well, thank you. I'm breaking them up. You go sit down in that corner. I think we have it under control, though.
Okay, good.
Shoo! Which one of you does the grocery shopping, Alex?
Myself. Well, I sent me out for a pack of cigarettes, and I don't know. He brought back a cat.
Who's using the microwave right now?
The microwave?
Yeah.
That was me. I was heating back up my coffee. And
see, well, the way you talk, I sounds quite lazy.
He is.
I just can't believe how much mileage we're getting out of this.
Well, I'm fascinated whenever you tell me about your history in the entertainment business, because it is by far the most extensive and well-rounded, I guess, career in entertainment. Would you mind telling the folks how you started in this whole business?
My first show, I was still in high school, actually. And I was stage manager, and we were opening the show on Wednesday, and that Monday they asked me if I could perform Chubby Checker, and I didn't take them serious. And the next day I showed up for rehearsal late, and the director told me, well, I was serious, and he put me on stage that Monday night, and I opened that Wednesday.
Wow.
46 years ago.
How old were you?
At the time, I was 17 years old, hadn't graduated from high school yet. And after I graduated, I went to the Marine Corps for 4 years, and then came back and started working on the boat again, on the Goldenrod showboat. And it took off from there.
Wow. Now, was the Chubby Checkers gig, was that on the showboat?
Yes, it was. I did Chubby Checker and Metal Like Lemon from the Harlem Globetrotters.
I just find it strange, considering your size, that they would have you be Chubby Checker, of all people. Did they pad you?
Well, yes, they had me in a matter of fact, I still have the fat suit. I still have the fat suit. It's hanging up in my costume. I have a room with nothing but costumes and drums in. And everyone once in a while I go in there and reminisce. But like I said, when you do something that you love doing, it's never work. So you might say for the last 46 years, I haven't worked. I've done what I wanted to do, and I love doing it. And one day I'm going to get it right. And How have the two of you been? I want to know that you're healthy and doing well, and the family's doing well.
Well, I am doing well, and thank you for asking. It's just this extra weight, that I'm worried about. I don't usually bake, but I've been baking quite a bit. In fact, I should make you some of my 3-ingredient butter cookies.
Oh, I love cookies.
Yeah, he loves cookies. And I'm doing well too, Alex. Thanks for asking. Not unlike you, I imagine. I miss doing shows, but other than that, surviving, doing well.
Good, good.
Hadn't this
Yeah.
is the longest. Just for our listeners at home, Alex and I do shows together almost every weekend. We do shows together, and I give Alex a ride home every night. And so it's been what 3 months since I've seen you. That's a long time. So certainly miss our rides home and doing shows with you. That's for sure.
I just same here. I miss it all. I miss I talk to my family all the time and say, where you still keeping up? I say, well, I talk to them when I can, and I miss it. I definitely miss it because you need something to laugh about
Hmm.
and be happy about it, and that always made me laugh. And laughter is the best medicine in the world. But I definitely miss being on stage with both of you. I definitely miss that.
Did you do shows when you were in the Marines?
No, ma'am. I did USO shows for the last 40 years, but I didn't do any in the Marine Corps. They didn't give you time to do anything else. If you got any time off, you either want to go to the PX, or either have a drink somewhere or get away from around that base.
So where were you stationed in the Marines? I've never asked you that.
South Carolina, Parris Island. Then I went to Camp Henderson in San Diego. And then I went to Japan. The best thing about it is you get to travel. You get to travel and do things that you may not never ever do. And the service gave you a chance to serve your country at the same time, see the world. And my nephew, I just found out that he's going in next year. He's just coming out of high school, but he's supposed to be leaving in August to go to basic training. So the tradition goes on. It's passed down and it goes on.
And so after the Marines, what happened then?
I came back. I went back to St. Louis and got married. Started working on the boat again on the Goldenrod because I was on the Becky Thatcher. And I started working on the Becky Thatcher when I was 14. And the Becky Thatcher and the Goldenrod, they hooked up. They were owned by the same company. And when the Becky Thatcher, which was a restaurant, it wasn't a theater. And the Goldenrod at the time was only open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They weren't doing shows Wednesday through Sunday then. And I would work on the Becky Thatcher Monday through Thursday. Then Friday, I would work on the Goldenrod. And it was a nice theater. It set 400 and it was an old time showboat. And in the dressing rooms above your dressing area, they would have bunk beds, those hideaway beds that you pull down above your area with a ladder to the right or left, whichever way you chose to get up there. And because the actors, when they would go up and down the riverfront, they never left the boat. They lived there. They stayed there in dressing rooms and stuff. And it was a lot of history there. They had pictures of Red Skelton when he was on there and different people. And it's a lot of history on it. And unfortunately, it burned to the ground a couple years ago.
Oh, I remember when you told me about that. That's terrible. I also remember when you told me that there were rats on the boat.
Yeah, river rats. They had a order against them. They couldn't bring cats on the boat because it was the Humane Society really got up in arms about that because they would bring those cats on there, and I don't want to tell you what happened to them, but the rats were huge. I mean, they were huge, and we
Oh,
didn't call them rats. We call them puppies. And William Oakley, when he took the boat over in '76. He came down there and he actually put a boundary on trying to get rid of the rats and stuff. And they were bringing in certain animals, like they brought in a snake. They never found it again. They brought in cats. They never found them again. And it was they were always getting in trouble with the health department and the Humane Society about that. But it's a riverboat, and down there, I mean, you be careful because you walking along. Oh, that's a nice looking puppy. Oh, that's not a puppy, because they got pretty big. They got pretty big, and I go when I go back to St. Louis, always go back on the riverfront and visit, and it was like Bourbon Street in New Orleans or Beale Street in Memphis. You could go down there and it was wall to walls, all the cobblestones and the horse drawn carriages, and it was they put in condominiums in the bridge. And so it's a unique place. If you ever get a chance to visit, it's not a bad place to visit.
Sounds really, really cool. Sounds really, really cool. Now William Oakley, was he the one that got you out to Colorado?
Uh, well, he owned he owned the opera house.
Are you talking about the Heritage Square Opera House?
Yeah, he when actually I was in the shows for 2 years before he knew I was even in the shows, because we the Goldenrod, we would trade out actors. People would come to St. Louis from here, and we would come out here and do a show and go back home. And originally in '84, when I came out, I was supposed to stay from January to March and go back, and end up staying here for 36 years. I liked it. I liked it, and the boat at that time, they were there was a dispute over the boat, so they were closed until they got things cleared up. And I just liked it here. And when because Oakley had tried to get me out here in '78, and I had just gotten married, and I didn't want to move. All my family was back in St. Louis, and in '84. I told him, well, yeah, I'll go out there for a couple months. And I got out here and I liked it. And when they moved the Opera House from Heritage Square out to Aurora, right across from Buckingham Square, and they were there for a year. And in '88, they closed down. They closed down that Saturday night. That Sunday morning, I started working at the music hall, and I was there until 2014. And then I got blessed and was lucky to come over to Adams. So it worked out.
Well, I think the blessing goes both ways, Alex. It's amazing, and I want to talk a little bit more about Heritage Square Opera House because that was so huge and so cool for so long. Heritage Square Opera House, we get on any given night, Alex, over at Adams Mystery Playhouse, there can be 1 to 20 people that recognize you from Heritage Square Opera House, and they come up and there's it's like you're our star power over there.
Thank you, but I would never think that, because I'm a background person actually. I like watching everybody else, I love to laugh, and I do that. And I said once it stopped being fun, I'll stop doing it. And so far, I'm still having fun, and I like it because I look at some of my favorite character over there actually is Desert Pete. I love Desert Pete because I get to go in, and some people, one night after did the show, going back to the music hall, I had did the character where my hair and beard and everything was all whited out, and I came out after the show, and this lady was standing in the lobby and wanted to know where the elderly black gentleman was.
Oh my gosh. Well, that just shows how well you pull off a character that they don't even recognize it's you, and that's fabulous.
Mark was talking about Heritage Square. I mean, what do you consider the main differences between doing shows up there and the shows here? Because I know they're a different they're comedies, but they're definitely a different style, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, but it's just as funny. I have just as much as fun. And that was one of the things that kept me over there. I thank you guys for that because when you leave something that you love and you've been doing for so many years, you look at a situation and you'll say, well, this is something new. And once I got over there, it wasn't new, it was just different, just as funny, just as much fun to do. The people you work with, you get a bond going and you get some kind of chemistry going. And I felt that after the first 2 weeks I was there, I felt like I had found chemistry because working with you on stage, I tell you all the time, you crack me up. You crack me up. And anytime you're standing on stage and you are watching the other performers, and you miss something because you're paying attention to what they're doing. They're good. They're good. And I enjoy working with everyone and you made me feel at home. And coming from the group that I was with, there was nobody I worked with up at Heritage Square that I didn't work for at least 20 years with.
Mm-hmm.
That was the least amount of experience somebody may have had was 20 years. So when I came over there, you made me feel at home and you 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 put me into a situation that I learned from because I was always taught you never stop learning until they cover you up. So I'm always finding something. It's different. That's what keeps me happy about stuff because I'm still learning.
I usually don't have much of an opinion of anyone until I see them do something. They could have the greatest resume or whatever, and I remember when you came to the show, and you came up after the show and you introduced yourself to me, which I thought was great. But I'd never seen you perform. And then Martin says, "This is so exciting. He's going to do shows with us." And I said, "Okay," but I'd never seen you do anything, and I was like, "Okay, I hope he's good." And one show is all it took. And I went, this guy's great. And ever since that day, I've just absolutely love working with you. I just, I always enjoy doing shows with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. And it's true because I know, Alex, most of the things I say aren't true, but that is.
But Alex, do you remember the time that you were in Red Hot Murder? It was on a Sunday afternoon. And so Liz dies in your arms. And so then instead of, and of course she's like dead weight, right? And instead of figuring out how, I guess the other actor was supposed to help walk her out, but that person totally spaced it out and leaves you holding Liz, and she's, you don't know what to do. She's totally dead weight. And so then you somehow you get her down to the floor, and then you pull. I'm sorry, it was just so funny to watch. You pull her across the floor in her fancy gown and by the feet. And because there was nothing, because the other actors like totally not even aware of that they're supposed to help.
That was Rick that night. I kind of turned to him. I went, "Well, are you going to give me a hand?" And he just kind of looked at me and went to the other side of the stage. I said, "Okay, how do I get her out of here?" So I grabbed her by her ankles and I pulled her over to the alcove.
Yeah, to the banquet area.
But
Yes.
wasn't she mad that you drug her out of the room?
Well, she was in that dress, and she was dressed to kill, real fancy. And I hated doing it, but there was no other way to get her out of there. And I wanted to grab one of those carts for. I didn't think of it until after it happened. But one of the carts to the dolly to the wheel around the chairs. If I could have got her on that, I could have got out of there, and it would have been funny because I didn't think it was. It was weird trying to get her out, and we finally got her out of there. And the rest of the night, she didn't say too much to me,
Mhm.
but I apologize to her. I apologize. Hey, I didn't know any other way to get you out of there.
Well, and of course, Liz being Liz, and she tries to do everything so realistically and not break character and not. So instead of kind of realizing that there was no way to get around and kind of standing up herself and, turning to you and whispering, "Walk me out," or something like that. She's just like total dead weight. So you didn't have any choice. Oh God, that was funny.
I didn't catch her either, too, because I was prepared to catch her and she'll still be standing. I mean, more, and she went right through my arms, right to the floor.
Oh God.
She
That's
went, and I went, oh God, I hope she's okay. And I
Sorry.
tried to pick her up, and that wasn't going to work. So I just kind of grabbed her by the ankles and did what God, because I had told him, "Just give me strength, and we'll get her off of here."
It was so funny to watch, I gotta tell you. And I kept thinking to myself, I am so glad we have slick wooden floors instead of carpeting so that you can slide her out more easily.
Let's move on to the next portion of this episode, which, of course, is the solution to last episode's mini mystery, which was bloody murder. The question is, was it a murder or suicide? Well, Professor Fordney knew it was not a suicide because Thompson's coat, which was flung across the room, was blood-stained. Quite impossible if he had taken his own life. And now, on this episode, in lieu of our standard mini mystery, stay tuned for a short video clip from Murder in Hollywood, featuring none other than our guest of the day, Alex Crawford.
Now tonight, of course, is the big dinner party in the castle of Count Dracula. Fist. More believable what he's done.
Like a rock and sock and robot.
We'd like to thank our special guest today, Alex Crawford. Thank you for joining us, Alex.
Thanks for inviting me.
And thank you, Marn, for joining us.
Well, guess what, Nick? I just lost 15 pounds. I weighed myself. I lost 15 pounds. And you know how I did it?
No.
Laughing with Alex Crawford. Laughed it right off.
And to everyone else, please join us for the next episode of the Adams Mystery Playhouse Podcast.